Feinics Nation. How you doing? What's going on? It is officially spoopy season, and it's your girl, Jade Phoenix here. The color wheel is spinning. I am joined by Lavender Phoenix and Scarlet Phoenix. What's up, girls? How you doing?
Hello. So happy to be here. So happy the chill is finally coming into the air.
Oh, my God. Yo, the temperature
I
went
feel
from,
the pumpkin
like...
spice.
Dude, the temperature went from, like, 75 to 55 like it saw a state trooper.
Honestly, though, thank goodness, because it was getting to a point that it was like at the beginning, before we hit October, it was getting so warm. I was like, look, I'm usually not the person to ask for it to get a little cooler, but I was like, please, I just want to have a fall this year. Please.
Seriously.
That's how you know I'm desperate in these times.
It's like, let me put my layers on, please. Okay, thanks.
The
Bye.
struggle is
And
real.
not even just,
It's
not
real.
even just layers, just like being able to at least wear jeans.
Can I just please,
That's
like,
all.
wear
I
my
just
extensive collection of hoodies? Like, that's all I want.
No, I just want to wear my cool leather jackets.
I mean, you wore them in the summer anyway. You did?
I mean, sometimes if it was like at night and I was wearing like, you know, tiny clothes underneath because I'm a thought.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I've never heard that accusation.
What is this accusation you're
Before.
talking about?
Fuck your life. Bing bong.
But it's a little bone chilling, wouldn't you guys say?
Oh,
It's finally
very
meeting expectations.
Or a spooky.
spooky. I mean, seriously, spooky, scary skeletons, they're living in my mind all year. It happens.
They're all-time favorites. All I think about is the skeleton dance, the little Walt Disney Silly Symphony. I absolutely love them.
The pumpkin
and if I
dance.
could get them on every single piece of Halloween decor, I would. And look, Disney, I know you made some, but you didn't make enough.
What?
I just
You need to
remember,
make more.
I remember playing this like old dungeon crawler game with my friends as a skeleton named Too Old for This Shit, and I think I think it fits here.
Yes, it
Is it bad
does.
that I thought you were about to say, like, Undertale?
Oh,
No,
God.
I never played that one.
Undertale.
No, but
I
it was like
automatically thought of the skeleton in Undertale. I don't even remember
Oi.
its name. I just remember it was very popular. I had never played it, admittedly. I was a homestuck.
God.
Yeah, you were the homestuck human.
I was like, Undertale, and even though those two used to like cross section all the time, I knew nothing about it, but I did know there was a skeleton. So as soon as you were like game skeleton, I was like, Pony, you played Undertale?
No, it was some super old like dungeon crawler kind of like computer game, like literally from the 90s. I don't even know how we got it to work on my laptop. But my friends my two friends and I, we were like from high school, we were like, hey, let's play this shit.
It's an
I think
emulator.
it was like Dungeon Quest. No, I actually like got the game from my friend and like downloaded it on my computer.
Oh.
Like,
You
I don't know
downloaded
how I still don't know how it fucking ran on my laptop because that was a piece of shit.
it. Hey,
but yeah.
it happens. It happens. I love this,
Oh,
though.
what's going on, Ninja?
I love this,
Oh, the
though.
podcast kitty has approached.
One of them. The
Hey,
other
baby boy.
the other podcast kitties are surrounding me because if you guys can't tell, the three ladies of the color wheel are in their prospective nests tonight because things are happening that required our attention, i.e. the Mets are playing right now. I mean, Lavender, you're losing your mind.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, guys, come on now. We might actually get to do a Subway series, and I will lose my mind. We're 1-4 right now, so suck it, Phillies. Anyway.
And
Anyway, you started talking about the Mets, and that drove Ninja to leave.
Bye. I'm
Honestly,
also pretty
fair.
sure that the Yankees are playing right now, too.
I think they are too. I'm always watching the Mets. It's so funny because I am in my respective nest.
Yep.
And in my respective nest, I actually have them playing in the little background as I phone in with my gals. So I just keeping track of the score.
Diginan is downstairs and he has got the game on. His game.
Oh, I know because I literally saw Diginan's status and I was like, bro.
Right?
It's too gay for sports ball.
All right, so
So great.
it's the bottom of the
But
third for the
interesting enough-
Yankees against the Royals. It's game 3 and they are 0-0.
Oh my gosh.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. But that's always painful when you because it can go one of two ways. It can either be really good for you, or it can be very upsetting when that first score is done and it's not your team.
No, but see, this is what I love about October. We're in October, people. We are starting to finally enjoy fall because the temperatures. We're in playoff season for the baseball for baseball.
Oh yes.
Football season is in going into week 6. We're hockey.
Football's a thing.
Hockey season is happening. Like soon.
Rangers?
Yes. Yes. Like, you have no idea. I am feral for hockey season to get going.
I'm a Rangers fan out of spite.
You're a Rangers fan because I'm a Rangers fan, and I'm going to show you the joy that is fucking Rangers hockey, baby.
Well, again, there's 2 reasons I'm a Rangers fan. 1, because I've been adopted by a bunch of Rangers fans,
Facts.
including you. 2, because fuck the Islanders.
Basically. Fuck them. I hate the Islanders. I hate the Islanders almost as much as I hate the Devils.
Fair. Although I went to an Islanders game actually last year because, of course, my dad knew a guy who had free tickets because he just apparently knows lots of guys in lots of places. And
I don't know Long Island
and it was hysterical. And I went with a really good friend of mine, Sid, and
We
whole
love
time
Sid.
We love
playing the
Sid.
Devils. So the whole time, because I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, I just kept going, "We're the Devils!"
Emotional damage.
And I just scared my cat. He just ran away. And if anybody knows anything about Seinfeld, there's a whole joke that Elaine's boyfriend is like crazy about the Devils.
God. I've seen that episode and I start dying every time.
The face painter, it's so great. And
I painted
the
my
whole
face.
time I just kept going, "We're the Devil!" Like literally the whole time. Sid was like, "Kayla, you're literally gonna get us you're gonna get us punched in the face. Like this is gonna be the end." I'm like, "No, I need to pick on these people. It's my one opportunity. This is the one reference I understand. Like I have to go at it."
I love this for you.
Seriously, it's so good.
I don't even know what's happening, but I love this for you.
So, okay, age-old question here, my ladies, my color wheel, my beautiful babies. Apple cinnamon or pumpkin spice?
Apple
Pumpkin
cinnamon.
spice.
Apple cinnamon. It is.
Inject pumpkin spice into my veins, please and thanks.
Apple,
Keep it all round. That's all I want. As long as I keep pumpkin spice all year, I would be way happier than I am now in this capitalist hellscape.
Facts.
Like please, like
pumpkin spice is just salty to me, and I don't like it.
It's the clove.
see, I love cinnamon.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I like that it's like the perfect balance of cinnamon and like sweet. Like I think
Apple cinnamon is perfectly sweet for me, but I also have the most disgusting sweet tooth.
You really do, though.
that's fair. I
So
think
like,
with the apple, it's just a little too sweet for me, if that makes sense.
No,
And
it
pumpkin
makes
is like
sense.
right in the middle.
It makes sense.
you know, that makes sense. That's why I always have to. That's why I'm always like, listen, disclaimer. I like everything disgustingly sweet, so my taste is not going to be everyone else's.
No, that's fair because I'm in that middle zone where it's like if it is too sweet, fuck off. I can't. It'll hurt my teeth.
Yeah.
And it just literally just I don't like it. It makes me feel so I don't get me wrong, I enjoy pumpkin spice. But I prefer apple cinnamon. Like I prefer apple
Super fair.
I prefer apple flavors. I prefer like cider and apple donuts. Like I am a self-proclaimed apple slut. Like
Okay,
Apple
I
cider
will
is
say
so
though,
good.
I do love apple cider, and I do love apple cider donuts.
yo.
I do like a
Like,
boozy apple cider.
They're so delicious, and we'll keep y'all posted on the socials. I'm trying an experiment that hopefully we'll get to do with the color wheel over our little Halloween holiday
Yes.
to make pumpkin spice cookies. We'll see how that goes.
Yep. I mean, I used to make okay, so when I was little, I'm going to let everybody in on a little Jade, trip down memory lane. Let's do a little trip down Jade's memory lane.
Jade lore.
Yes, Jade lore.
Lore dump.
We'll do some Jade lore, all right? And then
I'm ready for some
we'll
Jade.
talk about what we're going to be talking about. But so when I was little, one of the big things that I used to do with my grandmother was she would teach me how to bake. So on top of teaching me all the like everything, because you both have eaten my cooking. Thank you, Grandma.
Amazing.
She's the one that taught me
Amazing.
everything I need to know. And
Banana Feinics.
so basically, Grandma taught me how also to bake. And basically, when I went so one of the big things the first thing that I ever learned how to bake, was something called apple brown Betty. And apple brown Betty is this delicious, it's like lasagna. It's literally like lasagna. And it's so good because you take slices of Rome apples, breadcrumbs, brown sugar, cinnamon, and you make your own icing. So literally it's like making a lasagna out of apples. It's so good.
Ooh.
So freaking good. And that
The
is
way my mouth watered.
that is literally actually, you know what? I'll make that for Friendsgiving. I haven't made it in years, but I will make that for Friendsgiving.
Oh my
Yes,
God, please. I will cry.
No, I'll make it for Friendsgiving. I have absolutely no problem with that. I will definitely make it for
And I
Friendsgiving.
think what's good is, since we're giving them some color wheel lore into our little favorite things, it kind of segues into some of the lore we're going to share for this month.
Yeah. Oh no. Hold on. I must. My brain. It hurts. They're gone.
That's okay.
They're gone.
Okay.
They're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Okay. They're gone.
They're gone.
So
Sold
for
out.
those of us-
Oh,
no.
Womp womp. Context, Phoenix fans, context travelers,
Yeah.
is tonight was the bloodbath for MagFest lottery hotel rooms. I didn't get it
and myself and Jade
Did
were
not.
sitting on the queue.
for an hour.
That's why we were kind of like here, hanging, just warming everybody up this episode,
Yeah.
only to find out that there is literally nothing left.
There's nothing left.
Back.
There we go.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's all right. We can try again in the general in a couple of days. And then we have our trump card. So,
Exactly. We will be back, MagFest. Just you wait.
oh, it's coming.
You haven't bested us yet, Gaylord.
No, you
Gaylord
haven't.
and
Never say it to
fucking
Gaylord.
singular microwave.
It's a
Mhm.
singular microwave.
Singular
I-
microwave. But
Oh my
I'm
God,
so
Sam got
sorry.
So mad.
What?
You know what I think is a really great urban legend?
No.
The
Someone
microwave
from
in
New
the
York
Gaylord.
being able to get a one-bedroom at the Gaylord. That's a real urban legend.
That is a real
That's
urban
so real.
legend. That is a
That's so real.
Oh my god.
Because,
Mm.
you know, New York is filled with a lot of urban legends. So I think getting a one-bedroom at the Gaylord is a fair enough urban legend. I think we can spread this. I think we should spread it in all of the MagFest groups and see if anyone believes us.
Hey, and maybe in 30 years it'll end up in a horror movie.
You
exactly.
never
Set the
know.
tone.
You never know.
Because most urban legends do end up in horror movies.
Yeah.
Looks like
So,
a legend.
everyone, if you ever see a movie in the next 30 years called Hotel Bloodbath, you better make sure that we're trademarked in the credits. Please and thanks.
But yes, that does actually bring us to tonight's topic, since we're basically done with personal lore of the gate.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking for the rest of the month about, obviously, spooky stuff. We're going to be talking about cryptids of New York and the urban legends of New York. And there are a lot. Like, ladies, back me up here. In New York alone, there's at least 10 urban legends that everybody knows off the top of their head, even if you don't live in New York.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's not even touching upon just what we all know from growing up in New York, because we know there's even more than 10. But the fact that you can sit there and be like, on both your hands, sewer alligators, Bigfoot, mole people, like the list goes on and on.
Yep.
And it's also like fun too, seeing what there is and how it differs based on where you grew up.
Yes. It's true. Like, I grew up in Queens. Like, even though I was born in Manhasset, I grew up in Queens. And there's plenty of urban legends in Queens, let alone the rest of the freaking state. So,
Oh yeah.
Long Island itself is ridiculous when it comes to freaking their urban legends. It's like, kidding me? Long Island is an urban legend. Like, let's call a spade here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Long Island by itself is an urban legend. If you sit there and think about it, it's like you got Amityville Horror House.
Yep. We got Montauk, just Montauk.
Camp Hero.
Project, Montauk Monster.
I'm sure a lot of folks know from Stranger Things. If you've seen Stranger Things, you've actually heard one of Long Island's biggest urban legends.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Anytime, guys.
And what's really interesting is the way that these urban legends completely and utterly evolve in different parts of the world.
Yep.
Because when we think about it, what's really interesting about urban legends, and I was actually saying this earlier to the gals, a lot of them are actually based very heavily in Native American folklore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to look at an urban legend or a cryptid that kind of evolved based on, geographic location, and this goes all over the place, look at, Bigfoot. You have the Yeti.
I love Bigfoot.
I know. Well, like, you have versions of Bigfoot like the Yeti.
No,
There's
exactly.
a version of Bigfoot down in fucking Australia. Like, Bigfoot is all over the place and just all over the country also.
And if you're a fan of the Discovery Channel, you have definitely seen Finding Bigfoot.
Finding
I
Bigfoot.
personally love Finding Bigfoot. My brother can do the best Bigfoot call, and he used to do it every year when we were driving up to, if anybody here from like Upper New York, Riding High Ranch. So whenever we would drive up to Riding High Ranch when we were kids, it was my brother would stick his head out the window and start doing the Bigfoot call from Finding Bigfoot. So what can I say? I love a good Bigfoot in my life.
My mom decided her wilderness property is a Bigfoot sanctuary. I don't know if any of them have taken her up on it, but that's what she decided. And that's where my husband's going this weekend.
Hooray!
So that'll be fun. Maybe he'll see Bigfoot.
We'll finally find a Bigfoot.
Hey,
Maybe Cam.
you know what? Maybe he'll be able to draw it out.
I don't know if he's cute enough for it.
I mean, he's pretty
It's
cute,
true.
though.
And he's hairy enough for it.
He's pretty cute, though.
It's true. Maybe he'll trick one of the lady Bigfoots. Like they'll think that a fellow has come into their midst. And please know, Cam, I adore you, but the joke was there.
No, wait, maybe they'll think he's like a little like a baby Bigfoot and they'll like adopt him.
I think that make Cam very happy, actually.
Considering it
He
might.
gets to be in nature.
It might.
Be outdoors. He wouldn't have to
Away
pay
from people.
taxes.
Away
I
from
think he'd be
people.
very happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it might. He might like it. You never know. He might turn around and be like, my people. I mean, let's call a spade here. One of the other biggest urban legends that we have are the alligators in the sewer.
Oh,
Here.
yes.
I love
If
those.
you've heard anything about New York, it's always about
Alligators.
the alligators in the sewer.
Yep.
And it's not even just, I've heard so many different versions of this story, as well as there were so many books, like children's books, that came out that talked about alligators in the New York City sewers.
I mean,
Like, I
guys.
remember that was such a like long-standing one.
I mean, guys, alligators in a sewer is such a fucking well-known thing. It literally made it to a Resident Evil game in 1998.
Say
There's a whole
more.
ass boss fight
Say more.
Yeah, there's a whole ass boss fight in Resident Evil 2 where you fight a fucking alligator in a sewer. Which is literally solely there because the Japanese thought it would be funny to have it there because of the fucking alligators in the sewers in New York. It's solely why it's there.
What's so interesting is I know at least the version that I knew growing up is that they like escaped the circus. So they lived in the sewers. And I don't know if that's like the typical version everybody hears. That was the version my grandpa told me, was that they just escaped from the circus and then just decided to live in the sewer.
So
Also, my grandpa knew I was hyper fixated with circuses, so that might have been why.
Hey. Yeah, I heard a different version.
there are several different versions, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
What I heard was that people were getting these alligators as like exotic pets.
Yep.
And then for one reason or another, part of it was authorities were cracking down on it and they had to get rid of them fast. Others were like, oh my God, these are going to get really big. Let me get rid of it fast. We're flushing it down the toilet.
I mean, so this
That's
is
how they ended up in the sewers.
yeah, no, this is a legend that actually dates back all the way to like the 1930s. So according to this, the 1932, the New York Times reported a gator sighting on the banks of the Bronx River. And in 1935, teenagers were said to have seen one crawl out of a sewer. The story basically goes, the shred of truth that started this urban legend is that wealthy city dwellers once brought back alligators from Florida to domesticate. And as the story goes, the owners...
Of course they're from Florida.
Of course, right? Owners who tired of their pets would flush them down the toilet. And that's how alligators got into our sewer system. And to tell you the honest to God truth, there most likely is alligators down there. I mean, come on. There's so many freaking creatures that live in our freaking sewers.
They have actually said that there are like accounts of finding small alligators rescued from sewers.
Babies!
So I think that kind of have been babies historically found in the sewers. And that comes from where the urban legend started, which was the idea that they wanted to domesticate alligators. And there are tons of people that still illegally bring in exotic pets and don't care for them. So it's kind of the urban legend part of it was like, oh, they created colonies down there and they're all gonna eat you and they're gonna be able to snatch you. And that's what I find so funny.
It's true. I mean, honestly, like there's multiple sightings, there's multiple facts. They just don't, one thing that everybody says that they don't find is this giant colony, which is basic, like part of the legend, is that all these little baby gators that were flushed down the toilet or put in manholes or anything like that from, when the wealthy people didn't want to play with them anymore, they formed a colony in the sewers. That's not true.
Yeah. Because you also have to keep in mind to some of our non-New Yorkers, like, and I am a New Yorker who used to also, well, I don't know if I could call myself a Floridian because I was only there for like.
You can call yourself a Floridian. You were
for
there.
2 years.
You were there for more than a year. You're a Floridian.
So I was also a Floridian at one point in my life, and I can tell you, there's very specific conditions that these alligators can live in.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, the sewer does not have those conditions for an alligator to live in.
That we know of.
I mean, unless you're Leatherhead.
That's also true.
TMNT fans. Sorry, it's also funny. While we were looking at these, I'm like, why do half of these sound like they're from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Because they probably are.
Because yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, what's great about New York is there are so many legends, and there's so, like, believe it or not, there's more cryptids than you think. Like,
yeah.
Cryptids in New York, you can shake a stick and you'll hit a cryptid in New York. They have Bigfoot, obviously, which we talked about a little bit already. There's Champ, the Champy, the legend of Lake Champlain. There's Georgie, the beast of Lake George. shit, there's just there's so many freaking, like, I love New York because our history is just ridiculously good. I
New
love
York
it.
is fucking weird.
It
I
is.
used to have a book called Weird New York,
I
and
love
I
that
don't know
book.
where it is. I think it got lost. I think it got lost in the move. I also had a book called Weird New Jersey, and my mom was like, "Why the fuck did I let you have this book at like 8 years old?" And I'm like, "I don't know. That's a you problem."
Womp womp.
Yeah, she's like, "Why am I letting you read about demonic possessions at 8 years old?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Why are you?"
Because I could.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway, maybe I'll read I Weird New York because that one's a fun one.
let's talk about this. New York has so many good urban legends. There are actually 6 spots in New York that you can go to see monuments and statues that were erected to some of our biggest legends.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
So we have the New York City Rat Man, also known as Nathaniel Katz.
I do love Nathaniel Katz.
Yes.
I do love him. My grandpa used to tell a different version of Nathaniel Katz, but I have a very, very soft spot for Ratman.
So I would like to hear your version before I read this article about him.
Absolutely. So I actually haven't gotten to share this bit of lavender lore on the cat.
We love lavender
But
lore.
My grandpa was actually a very long time in FDNY. His job was that he used to drive the back of the fire truck when they used to need a driver back there with the ladder. So he used to be a back of the fire truck driver. And he used to tell us that on one of his jobs, and they were going and putting out a fire, they found this big rat that he called the rat Heathcliff. And that big rat
Heathcliff.
that he went, and his whole story was that he went and he rehabilitated Heathcliff, and he lived in my grandpa's cellar, and that's why we were not allowed to go into the cellar without him.
Oh.
Because while Heathcliff had become very nice and domesticated, he would still eat little children.
You're a monster.
That were unaccompanied.
You're a monster.
And it's so funny because especially as we were talking about things for this episode, I was like, wow, my grandpa totally told this story, but his own version of this story my entire childhood. And that was a big one. Heathcliff, we're all scared of Heathcliff the rat.
Heathcliff the rat.
Heathcliff the rat. We would like go over near the cellar and we put our ear down towards it because, you know, he'd have like, we would like plant forget-me-nots for him every summer. And I believed Heathcliff for a very, very long time. And maybe, just maybe, Heathcliff is still down there. I never did actually look.
He might be. Who
knows?
I mean,
Maybe yes, that was my grandpa's version of Ratman. Which makes it even funnier because he was FDNY, and it makes sense because he technically took Heathcliff from one of his jobs that would have been in Manhattan.
I'll be right back. I always come back.
Come back.
Heathcliff.
I feel like my grandpa would have loved Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yo, your grandfather probably would have been in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, 100%.
Nice.
100%. He would have found it so funny. He would have gone out of his way to do it.
I believe it. So, Nathaniel Katz, the Rat Man, lived from 1749 to 1810. He is thought to be the person responsible for first introducing the Norway rat to North America, and not by accident. Katz traveled to New York from England with the dream of bringing a new pet to colonial settlers in the form of domesticated and tame rats. Many of the details of Katz's life are unknown, but he is originally believed to be from Germany and had to have a largely unsuccessful career as a peddler and a circus performer, known to his audiences as the Rat Man. Trying to show that the rodents were tame and friendly, his performances were usually met with disgust. With nothing more than a change of clothes, 2 loaves of bread, and some cheese, he sailed to New York in the early 19th century with 2 of his rodent friends and a scheme to sell Americans a new pet. Few people were accepting of the idea of keeping creatures in their homes, but enough purchased rats from cats for there to be unintended consequences. No one could believe how quickly the city became infested by cats as rats, who escaped from homes and bred very quickly. As the city became overrun in a few short years, cats was seen as a public enemy, and citizens demanded government officials rid the city of the vermin and punish the man that they blamed for the nuisance. Cats and his small number of supporters were unapologetic, though, and stood by the idea that the creatures were pets. As the situation became worse, Governor DeWitt Clinton decreed that a public spectacle of punishment, cats should be catapulted into the Hudson River. Yep. Whether he drowned or simply disappeared into obscure infamy is unknown. And also unknown is the origin of the odd memorial, presumably commissioned by a small group of the Rat Man's followers. The statue has been displayed at various locations in Manhattan over the last 2 centuries, but currently sits between the entrance to Battery Park and the Staten Island Ferry, where it is not uncommon to spot Nathaniel Katz's pets rummaging in the garbage pails.
I love this man.
No,
I love him.
Yo,
I
they had to.
tell
He had to have inspired
all
the
the
Rat
time
King.
that I want to be
I
a
think
rat.
so. I think he inspired the Rat King, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Team Mouse
These
Rat.
are all the TMNT characters.
No, it's A-okay, because here's the thing. TMNT takes place in New York.
Uh-huh.
And so it very much makes sense that they would pull from a lot of these urban legends
Mm-hmm.
and create new fiction for a city that's already filled with so many interesting ideas. Weird things, exactly. Like, there's
New York is
no
fucking
not weird
guys.
things.
New York is fucking weird. I love it here. This is why you
It's
did
very
it.
strange.
There's
You
there's
can't make
nowhere
me leave.
else. There's nowhere better. Like, there's a reason why New York was originally going to become the capital of the United States of America.
And then we were deemed too weird.
Yep. Well, that and also they wanted to make it DC, but fuck it, whatever. That's another story for another podcast.
Another day. It's
Another
another
day.
legend.
Yeah.
But what I think is so interesting is the way that these urban legends kind of shape how we look at a lot of things in our everyday life.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, they add little tidbits of flavor.
I mean, they
We were going over one earlier that I thought was so interesting because I'd heard it so many times. The cropsy.
Cropsy. Oh my god.
Car hand hook. I can't fucking remember how to say it.
Spit it out. You can do it. I believe in
Hold
you.
on, it's like I used to do it. I could do it. Now I can't do it because the one's on. It's like
Because you're on the spot.
yeah, I'm on the spot, even though I'm in my house alone. I mean, my cats are somewhere. Cats, plural. I love that for me. But what is it? Man door, hook hand car door. It's like, it's just if you know, you know.
And if you know,
Man hook hand car door.
if you know,
Man hook hand car door.
if you know,
If you do, I'm sorry.
no, if you do, you should probably go grab that ibuprofen.
But if you specifically know man hook hand car door, and if you know man hook hand car door gun in the lost format, then go get a fucking ibuprofen. Get 2 ibuprofen
Yeah,
and
maybe
Probably,
some
like,
Advil.
go to bed. Yeah, and like go to bed. It's past your bedtime, Grandma.
Emotional damage.
So
That's my bedtime.
Cropsy.
Thanks for letting me know.
Oh my god, Cropsy is a Staten Island urban legend.
Oh, yes.
Staten, Italy. You got some legends. There's a couple of them. How you doing? Cropsy.
Staten Island.
I know. That's basically North Jersey, but whatever. Cropsy is a maniac who snatches kids on Staten Island and kills them with his hook hands or ice pick or an axe. They don't know if he's real or not. And he was actually based on the abandoned mental institution, the Willowbrook State School, which was just apparently horrifying back in the day. And it's been abandoned now. And this guy, he's basically like the Staten Island boogeyman. And the fucked up part about this urban legend is it actually did somewhat come true with a man named Andre Rand, who was the janitor at the Willowbrook State School, and that was an institution for children with disabilities. He was convicted of 2 kidnappings, and he killed one of the children. So,
Damn.
the rest remain unsolved. All the other disappearances of these kids from Staten Island has remained unsolved, but Andre Rand is now serving 2 25 to life sentences because of his involvement. And Rocky has decided he wants to make his presence known. Podcast Kitty Heaven.
Oh, I love that for Rocky.
But
And
I don't
he's
think he
going with the
likes
hook
it.
hands.
I don't think he likes talking about hook hands.
Okay.
No. But that's what's so interesting is think about it. How many times have your parents told you to not go out after a certain time? Or there's only maniacs that go out after a certain time.
Or be home
And
before.
how many
Be
times
home
have
when
you
the street
seen-
lights came on.
Exactly. Or how many movies have you seen where you see a man for hooks coming to get you? I mean, they even have it on SpongeBob.
Yeah.
They have it on SpongeBob?
They have it on SpongeBob. I mean, what would you
But
do
they said it
last?
was a spatula hand.
I know what you did last summer. The guy had a hook.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that one in Urban Legend.
They did.
In the movie Urban Legend too. No, like it's funny because I had a book when I was little. It was all like urban legends, horror stories, ghost stories, stuff like that. And that was one of the urban legends in it. The manhook hand car door.
Cropsy.
I ever refer to it as that.
And if Scarlett doesn't refer to it as that, assume that she must be dead.
Basically.
I mean, I'm always dead.
I mean, it's true. It's true. It's true. I mean, these are just like, there's just so many stories. I mean, can we talk about the mole people?
Yeah, tell me about the mole people. I'm intrigued.
The mole people, basically, there is an urban legend that's actually been proven to be true.
Yes, it actually is.
What?
It's true. The mole people mecca. So with rent as expensive as it is, people decided, fuck this, and they decided to go live underground in the train tunnels and sewer tunnels. And there's a book that came out in 1993 called Mole People: Life in the Tunnels Beneath New York City, where it contends that there's an organized society underground with appointed positions, and that there's little in the way, but there's really never really been any proof. I mean, Law and Order SVU did a whole thing on mole people and Felicity, so
yes, they did.
it's got to be true.
I actually watched that episode recently. And the thing is it actually is true to the extent of there are definitely people that live in the subway tunnels. I actually read a very interesting memoir graphic novel about a woman who interviewed a community of people that lived there. But yeah, like it's true. And when you spend that much time in the dark, like biologically,
You change.
it can like,
Yeah.
you change. It can like screw up your eyesight, how you take in light. It's very, very interesting.
Return the
No, for sure.
And the
You'll end
thing
up looking
is-
like that guy.
It's true.
Exactly.
It's true. It's true. But like,
The thing is,
the mole people really do. Like, listen, the homelessness epidemic in New York City alone, I can understand. I can understand people wanting. The New York City train system is the deepest, longest, and most extensive train system in the entire world. Of course,
And
there's
there's
going to be
also
colonies. There's going to be colonies. You can't tell me there aren't.
I mean, considering how much of it is also abandoned,
Yo.
on top of that, how much is abandoned, but in actually like decent shape? Like,
I mean,
I've seen some, like,
there are tours now that you can go into abandoned stations that are
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, no, those ones are really cool. But also, sometimes I'll come across like some urban explorers online that'll go and like just, again, they really shouldn't be doing this, and I'm not saying like it's a good idea, but also, hey, content. But they'll like go to like the abandoned subways. They're like, oh, hey, here's a weird tunnel that doesn't look like it goes anywhere. Let's see where it goes.
Yep. Ooh.
And find some really cool like abandoned parts of the New York subway, and it's really cool.
I love that. And like,
But also, like-
honestly, I've always wanted to go on one of those tours.
Yeah, I would love to go on one of the tours.
Out the window.
Let's go.
We also, yeah. Honestly, there's so much cool shit to do in New York.
It's most of it deals with the spooky shit that we've been talking about. I mean,
We gotta go to the catacombs.
the catacombs, Lavender.
Yes.
I know you've been
wanted to do those.
I know you've been itching to talk about this one, but Sleepy Hollow.
I love Sleepy Hollow, and one day I will finally get over there. So to tap into even more lavender lore, I went to college for communications and English, and one of the big things that I actually wrote a paper on is the creating of the American folklore urban legend by Washington Irving. So, quote unquote, there was no real folklore of the Americas as we know it. And Washington Irving made it a point to create these pieces of folklore. And he even had this like very interesting marketing campaign that led up to it. But to focus on Sleepy Hollow, this is actually a town you can visit in New York. It's over near Tarrytown. They actually do reenactments of the story every night, all through Halloween season. And I'm sure most of us know Ichabod Crane. And he's such an enduring character. I mean, it's the 75th anniversary of Disney's version of Ichabod Crane that they originally did with Mr. Toad. But essentially, there was an old Hessian soldier who died, was buried without a head, replaced it with a pumpkin,
The
and
Hessian.
now is longing to find another head to replace what he lost.
I mean, the Johnny Depp movie
Very-
was perfect.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you ask Tim Burton, that Hessian soldier looked like Christopher Walken.
Hey,
I mean, fair.
because it
Fair.
did.
But I do actually love
I love Christopher
that
Walken.
film.
Yeah, I
I
love
think
that
it's
movie.
very, very well done. And it really captures like the essence and gives more context to the story.
Yep.
Because when you go into the legend of Sleepy Hollow, like the original legend, Ichabod is essentially just a teacher.
He's a
He's going
schoolmaster.
into town to work with the school. And he kind of is, he isn't portrayed with the gravitas that we get in a lot of the retellings.
No.
He's kind of a loser. Like, if you watch the Disney one, they do kind of focus on that. He's a bit of a weirdo. He's a bit of a freak. And he really likes Katrina Von Tassel, who's a very beautiful woman over in whereabouts near the Hudson River. And essentially, Brom Bones is very jealous of his new romantic rival and essentially creates the Headless Horseman to scare him away. And what's interesting is everybody thinks that it was Brom. Brom did it. They even hint at this in the Tim Burton movie, that he did do a version of it to scare Crane.
Yeah.
But in Washington Irving's original, it's kind of left in the air, and all we know is that Ichabod never comes back.
Yeah.
Yep. And Washington Irving is also responsible for another large
Oh,
urban
yes.
urban legend
Oh,
here
yes.
in New York, and that is the legend of Rip Van Winkle.
Van Winkle. We love Rip Van Winkle.
There's even
I-
they even say that there's mountains when you go like slightly upstate by Sleepy Hollow that are shaped into Rip Van Winkle's sleeping form.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, I'm trying to think, because technically he comes upon a group of dwarves essentially,
Yes.
because he wanders into the Catskill Mountains, and that's where that idea comes of you can see him sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And he accepts their offer essentially to promptly fall asleep, and he wakes up 20 years later.
I thought it was 100 years later.
No, it's 20 years later, because his children are all grown, and because he was essentially trying
Right.
to escape his wife.
No, you're right.
Honestly,
You
a 20-year nap
right.
sounds great.
You right. I mean, shit. I want to sleep for 20 years.
If only.
Right.
And I sit here and I'm like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea.
I mean, Washington Irving is responsible for two of the biggest of our urban legends, because like there's not a single person that hasn't seen either the Disney animated version of Sleepy Hollow, the Johnny Depp movie of Sleepy Hollow, like Tim Burton, fuck you, I love you so much, like I hate you, but how dare you be responsible for like 90% of my personality. like,
Oh, valid.
we talked about some of our cryptids. Like, there's Georgie, there's Champy, there's the Bigfoot, there's the amorphous blob that happens up in like oh my god, Kennermeyer, whatever, somewhere upstate. Thank you. Have we talked about Monty, the Montauk Monster?
No, we didn't bring him up yet. We were kind of like skirting on, oh God, Montauk is a haunted place, and we're kind of like, oh, about the thing. If you don't know Monty,
we talk about Monty?
Yes, no, I want to hear Scarlett's take on Monty.
Because so keep in mind, Monty, this was like 2008, and I distinctly remember watching this shit on fucking News 12 Long Island. This was like, I grew up a little farther out east on Long Island, not all the way out east, but more out east than these two. And I remember like when this thing washed up, and it was like a whole fucking thing. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, what is it? It's got like the fucking beak-looking thing, but it looks like a dog, but like beak." And everyone was like, "Yo, what the fuck? Is it from Plum Island?" Because Plum Island has a lot of conspiracies surrounding it, a lot of urban legends because of experimentation that's done there, which there are like science labs there that do experiments. A lot of it is kind of confidential, and a lot of people are like, yo, is it from Plum Island? Is this part of the Montauk Project? All sorts of shit.
Yep.
But I think, should I tell everyone what the consensus is, or should I leave it a mystery?
I mean, would you like to be mysterious?
I mean, it could be mysterious.
It's called a hustle, sweetheart.
Lavender, you're the deciding vote. Mysterious or tell him the truth?
I think we should stay mysterious because, as you guys know, as we're just kind of playing lightly on urban legends, we're actually going to post a fun little poll over on our Phoenix Nation's socials.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be posting up on Instagram and TikTok. We're going to want to know which one of these you guys want us to talk about more. For real.
All right. So I think leave it in mystery now, because
we'll reveal it later.
Wants to hear about the Montauk Monster, we'll divulge.
Alrighty. But I'll leave it as this. There is some theory as to what the Montauk Monster may actually be. But let's face it, it's just a theory. Who knows?
We never know. And
knowing... never know. Shit's weird out there.
Shit's weird out there.
Fucking wild.
I mean, we touched on Champ. Champ is the lake monster that lives in Lake Champlain. And the village of Port Henry has erected a giant model of Champ and holds Champ's Day on the first Saturday of every August.
Aw.
The other big monster is the Lake George monster known as Georgie. He is another sea serpent that, again, may or may not be a hoax. Nobody knows. Let's see.
I mean, they say that about Nessie.
They do.
I'm a fan of sea serpents. I personally believe that they can vary. Of all of the things, I personally believe there's no way that we know about every single sea creature, especially because of how deep some of the waters can get.
I mean, shit, the bottom of Loch Ness is ridiculous, and that's a freshwater lake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, that's why those ones, I mean, admittedly, I am a bit of a cryptid nut, and I do believe that if that many people have seen it, there's gotta be some, in my opinion, portion of truth there.
I mean,
but I find it very interesting with things like sea serpent-like stuff. Like, they have one in Vermont. I forget the name of the one in Vermont, but they even have one in Vermont. And I'm like, I feel like that's too coincidental for there not to be some sort of weird creature we probably just have never had the time to be able to study.
True. Or we're just not allowed to know about because, so many things are kept from us.
Exactly. Yeah. And limitations of even what a normal person can travel and investigate.
Agreed.
So, supposedly they found a banged up submarine in Loch Ness.
They found a banged up submarine here in New York too.
Yeah, we
That's
found all sorts of fun stuff. But
yep.
yeah, no. And then like
New York is crazy.
lakes are fucking. Honestly, like of all the bodies of water, lakes kind of weird me out the most because they're like, like they're kind of enclosed, right?
Kind of.
But then,
That's the whole point of a lake is they are enclosed.
but no, but that's the thing. And then you start digging deeper. And then, because seriously, like you start going deeper. And then you keep going deeper, and it's like, wait a minute, this might actually go somewhere if you go down.
Yeah.
And down and down and down.
Yeah.
Going down, down. I love it.
So I'm telling you, like, I am a firm believer that
Lake
most
tunnels
of
and
these
shit. It's a
things
thing.
exist. Personally, this is where you're going to hear this is where everyone's going to learn about my conspiracy theories here on the cast. But I am a firm believer that all of these things exist in one way or another, even if it's not the idea of them that we have in our head. Like, there's no way it's just not some sea creature we've never discovered before, or it's not just some type of ape that maybe evolved to live outside of like its normal habitat. Like, I firmly believe all of these things exist. I am also an alien nut and a paranormal nut, and
Nothing wrong
so
with
I
that.
am made.
Yeah,
I'm
valid.
made for this challenge. I am made for October cryptids.
Yeah, you are. What makes it even better?
Everybody better vote.
What makes it even better is I don't know if you would count this as a cryptid, but it could. Have you guys heard of the Staten Island ferry disaster story?
Yes and no.
Is this the one with the octopus?
This is the
I've
one with
heard
the
about this
octopus.
octopus. There's like a statue. I do know that.
So, it was close to 4 a.m. on a quiet morning of November 22nd, 1963, when the steam ferry Cornelius G. Kolff vanished without a trace, on its way with nearly 400 people, most on their way to work. The disappearance of the Cornelius remains both one of New York's most horrific maritime tragedies and perhaps its most intriguing mystery. Eyewitness accounts describe large tentacles which pulled the ferry beneath the surface only a short distance from its destination at Whitehall Terminal in Lower Manhattan. Nobody on board survived, and only small pieces of the wreckage have been found, strangely with large suction cup-shaped marks on them. The only logical conclusion scientists and officials could point to was that the boat had been attacked by a massive octopus, roughly half the size of a ship. According to the tragedy, is that the disaster went almost completely unnoticed by the public, as later that day, another more quote-unquote newsworthy tragedy would befall the nation when beloved President JFK was assassinated. The Staten Island ferry disaster... It was the same day. The Staten Island Ferry Disaster Museum hopes to correct this oversight by preserving the memory of those lost in this tragedy and educating the public about the truth behind the only known giant octopus ferry attack in the tri-state area.
So, what I will say off the bat is the whole like psychology of that disaster being kind of forgotten, or at least like falling to the back burner because of the assassination of JFK does make sense.
Of course.
Yes.
Like that fully makes sense.
Yes.
Giant octopus? Oh, fuck it. Why not?
Why not? I mean,
how do you know? Maybe he escaped from Coney Island.
I mean, Museum of Natural History has to get this shit somewhere, right? They have to get their specimen.
There's a reason why giant squids actually exist.
Yeah.
Like,
giant squids are real.
They are real. It's been documented. They've been found. We've gotten corpses. So it's not unheard of. Like, maybe they just got the type of cephalopod wrong.
Yeah.
But
no,
we've saved the last 3 big ones for the end of the cast. The first one being the buried pirate treasure on Liberty Island.
This one I didn't actually know. Okay. I had no idea that they had. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Buried treasure. I'm all for that. I'm also a bit of a pirate freak, so I'm surprised I knew nothing about this.
So the Liberty Island treasure is supposed to be, basically, people have been looking for it for absolutely for hundreds of years now. Because Liberty Island, if everybody knows, that is where all the immigrants came to. That was Ellis Island. Liberty Island is Ellis Island. It's where the Statue of Liberty stands, and that's why it is named Liberty Island. But I'm going to give you some more facts on this because you deserve it. Here we go.
Yes.
So,
That's facts.
immigrants used to pass by the Statue of Liberty with dreams that the streets in America were paved with gold, but maybe they should have been looking underneath the statue. That's where Captain William Kidd is said to have buried a stash of loot. He was hanged for piracy in London in 1701. It is absolutely possible that the treasure is there, but people have been searching for 3 centuries. The fueling the legend is the fact that Captain Kidd lived in New York City for 4 years in a house on Pearl Street, where he could have kept an eye on the island. But be warned, the treasure may also be protected by ghosts. One account says that a century after his death, some soldiers at nearby Fort Wood went to a psychic to locate the treasure. They followed her instructions and began digging on the next full moon. Their shovels struck something hard, a chest. They struck something else next, a skull. Apparently, an apparition rose up from the hole, a cutlass in hand, and chased the soldiers off. When they returned later, the chest was gone. Dun, dun, dun.
See, that I've heard, because it was his name, Sergeant Gibbs, right? And I always remember that because they had taken the idea from Pirates of the Caribbean. That's where they got the name from.
Mm-hmm.
And Private Carpenter. And I just think that is something that also I'm very willing to believe. Because I just think, like, I just get to a point where I'm like, there are just too many things that are told that, like, I feel like it's hard to say it's not true.
I mean, for real.
I mean, I feel like pirate treasure makes sense. I mean, like, just look where we're located. We're right by the sea. Pirates definitely were here.
There were lots of settlements even before it was the Americas that we recognize it as. And there were a lot of seaside settlements. Like, not only in, like, the Bahamas and areas like that, or the Caribbean, as, like, a lot of us would know from the popular zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But there were a lot on the shores of New York. Yeah. So, it checks.
So, the other big thing, since we're talking nautical, is the ghost ship of the Hudson River. Now, you guys ever hear about this one?
Ooh.
So, the ghost ship of the Hudson River is also one of those things that obviously, again, like the pirate treasure of Liberty Island, ties into a lot of the Pirates of the Caribbean lore, which is probably where Disney got a lot of it. I'm not even going to lie to you. It is said the ghost ship of the Hudson River it came around when New York was still known as New Amsterdam. So, you know, this has been around for years. According to this ship shows up on the Hudson River preceding really bad storms and all sorts of, like, disasters. So it's claimed that this ghost ship, you know, has been seen multiple times by multiple people. I've never personally seen it. I've never even really thought about it. But it's basically... It's one of those things where this ghost ship, people say they see it, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I mean, you two, have you ever heard about this thing?
I personally haven't. This is one, like, here's the thing, like, I'm surprised I don't know more of these ghost stories just because I'm, like, really into ideas of the paranormal and haunting stories.
Mm-hmm.
We were actually, like, you know, chit-chatting earlier, and I was, like, talking about how I like the fictionalized Warrens. Because I enjoy things like The Conjuring. Because we were even talking a little bit about the Amityville Horror House,
which we're coming up to.
We were prepping for this episode. But I had actually never heard of the ghost ship. And what I find interesting is apparently there are a lot of ghosts associated with the Hudson River.
Oh, yeah.
In the Hudson River Valley area.
Mm-hmm. Well, they think that this ship particularly is piloted by Henry Hudson himself. So go figure on that
I
one.
wonder why. I guess live by the sea, die by the sea, not to quote Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
no.
Sorry.
There's a lot of ghost ships too.
No. I mean, okay, so you guys know, here's a little bit more Jade lore. I go on a yearly retreat for the past couple of years with my coven, and we go down to Hatteras Island out in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The Outer Banks of North Carolina has an entire ghost fleet because of all of the ships that have sank outside of that island. Like, there's a
You
fleet.
see, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Because especially I feel like I think haunted things that we don't talk about enough are lighthouses.
Oh,
There are so many people that were led astray.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And or weren't led where they needed to be led. So I could believe there being a whole ghost fleet. And I will say the one thing I feel bad for is apparently Henry Hudson has a whole Spectre crew. And I'm really sorry for the ghosts that got stuck there, still on that ship that just want to retire.
Right.
It's a funny image though. It's like, hey, I'm just a ghost on this fucking, ship.
Yo ho.
And I'm just a crew ghost and I want to retire. But
Yo
I'm stuck here.
ho. Yo
It's
ho.
very,
Yo ho.
it's giving a lot of Beauty and the Beast. The poor servants were turned into furniture,
Ah.
even though they literally had nothing to do with it.
Right.
That's
Real.
how I feel about these Spectre crews.
Agreed.
Like, what did these crews do wrong besides have to help Henry Hudson on the Half Moon?
So that brings us to the final legend that we're going to touch on tonight in this cast, and that is the Amityville Horror House.
Oh, Amityville Horror House. There's
Amityville Horror.
so many things that can be said, especially if I'm sure plenty of the folks in Phoenix Nation have at least seen one version of the movie.
I mean, it actually, you know what's really funny?
What?
I actually only watched one of the I watched the Ryan Reynolds movie finally. That's the only one I watched of it, and I actually just watched it like this year.
It's the only one you need.
Interesting, because the only one that I've seen is like the original movie that they made from like
The
I
60s?
want to say it was
No, the
Oh,
70s. It was made in the 70s.
the very first one. It was the 70s because oh goodness, what is that actor's name? He's so famous. That was it. Well, he's very famous now. It was 1979.
Hold
oh
on.
goodness, what's his name? It's gonna James Brolin.
James Brolin?
What?
James Brolin was in it. That was the one
Wild.
that I saw. 1979. James Brolin. And the reason I say he's so famous now, like he's always been famous, but whenever I think from my zeitgeist of James Brolin, I either think The Goonies or I think of Cable
Fair.
I think it's
or
Cable.
Thanos. So, I mean, I remember seeing that movie, and I always found the Amityville Horror House really interesting because, as I said earlier, I have a fascination with like the fictionalized version of the Warrens.
Yeah.
I know now, as a fan of paranormal, in terms of learning about the paranormal, being very involved in learning things about paranormal investigators, that the Warrens were not great. But the Amityville Horror, they actually cover the Amityville Horror in the Conjuring movies. They hint at it
That's rough,
in
buddy.
the second Conjuring film.
So,
So I always found it really interesting, that crossing over, because that was so close to me as a kid. Like, we'd go on road trips for my volleyball team, and I had a friend, Mary, who would always point out, we're going by Amityville, we're going by the horror house. And it's kind of become like a Long Island legend, like in its own right.
It's actually like really funny because my parents got married like right down the street from the Amityville Horror House,
That's rough,
and yet
buddy.
they're still surprised I'm like this.
So the Amityville Horror is a book based by American author Jay Anson. It was published in September of 1977. It is also the basis of a series of films that were released from 1979 and onward. The book is based on the claims of paranormal experiences by the Lutz family and has led to controversy and lawsuits over its truthfulness. So the story, here's the history of the Amityville Horror. On November 13th, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family at 112 Ocean Avenue, a large Dutch colonial house situated in the suburban neighborhood of Amityville, or on the South Shore of Long Island, New York. He was convicted of second-degree murder in November of 1975 and sentenced to 6 terms of 25 years to life in prison. DeFeo died in prison in March of 2021. In December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz moved into the house with their 3 children and dog, Harry. After 28 days, the Lutzes fled the house, claiming to have been terrorized by paranormal phenomena while living there. So there you go.
Yeah, and that was in 1974. Because they had left
1975.
Was it 1975?
December 18th, 1975 is the day that they moved in.
Okay. And I remember they had a brief stay.
They literally were only there. They were only there for 28 days.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot about they had the wife had red welts all over her body. She claims that she levitated. George, apparently, who was the husband, saw images of demons in the back of the fireplace.
It's absolutely
and
ridiculous.
Objects would move around. Like, it's insane. And hoof prints, that was a big thing.
They also had red eyes staring at them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they had like ooze or some shit like coming from their walls.
Yeah.
I think flies were actually they had like flies or some other sort of like buzzing thing like coming into the house.
Constantly everywhere.
Flies. I'm pretty sure it's flies.
So you gotta understand the reason why we left the Amityville urban legend, not only is it super close to us because of everywhere we grew up, but also it is one of the most enduring of all of the urban legends based out of New York. Do you know that there is literally an entire list of everything that the Amityville horror has spawned from 1979 all the way up to 2023?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
because they also made some like really bad low budget movie called like The Amityville Curse that has like nothing to do with the fucking house. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I want to watch it.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It started with The Amityville Horror, which came out in 1979. And then it was, for some reason, they decided to make Amityville 2, The Possession, in 1982. That followed by...
Gotta have a sequel.
Right. That followed by Amityville 3D, made in 1983, which is made in 3D and has also been released under the name of Amityville 3, The Demon.
Wow.
Yeah, Amityville 4.
That was the big thing.
Yeah, Amityville 4, 1989, The Evil Escapes. Then you just mentioned the Amityville Curse. Then there came out with Amityville, It's About Time in 1992. Amityville, A New Generation in 1993. The Amityville Dollhouse. And then the remake of the Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds came out in 2005.
Yeah.
Then
it was not filmed on Long Island.
Right. Then it continued with the Amityville Haunting in 2011, the Amityville Asylum in 2013, the Amityville Death House in 2015, the Amityville Playhouse in 2015, Amityville No Escape 2016, Amityville Vanishing Point 2016, and the Amityville Legacy in 2016, and the Amityville Terror in 2016. I'm not even halfway through this list.
Yeah.
There's...
Just slap the name Amityville on anything and it's like, boom, spooky.
Friggin' the Amityville No Escape in 2016, Vanishing Point 2016, Legacy 2016, Terror 2016, Prison 2017, The Awakening in 2017, Evil Never Dies 2017, The Amityville Exorcism 2017. Then they have another one, The Amityville Murders, The Amityville Harvest, The Amityville Poltergeist, The Witches of Amityville Academy. Like, stop it.
Yeah, leave it alone, guys.
The Amityville Christmas Vacation.
Best thing to come out of Amityville, I'm pretty sure, is fucking Taking Back Sunday, not this shit.
Yes, I agree. Oh my God. So,
I think that's where they're from.
But hey, at least the new owners only paid $605,000 for it.
yeah, right? So
Yeah,
here's
probably
the legacy. This is the legacy. Kathleen Teresa Lutz, she was born October 13th, 1946, and died August 17th, 2004 of emphysema. George Lee Lutz, her husband, was born January 1st, 1947, and he died May 8th in 2006 of heart disease. The couple divorced in the late 1980s but remained on good terms. During the period in which the Lutz family was living at 112 Ocean Avenue, Stephen Kaplan, a self-stylized vampirologist and ghost hunter, was called in to investigate the house. Kaplan and the Lutzes had a falling out after Kaplan said that he would expose any fraud that was found. Kaplan went on to write a critical book titled The Amityville Horror Conspiracy with his wife, Roxanne Salch Kaplan. The book was published in 1995. On the night of March 6, 1976, the house was investigated by Ed and Lorraine Warren, the husband and wife team of self-described demonologists, together with a crew from the television station Channel 5 New York and a reporter, Michael Linder, of WNEW-FM. During the course of the investigation, Gene Campbell took a series of infrared time-lapse photographs. One of the images allegedly showed a demonic boy with glowing eyes who was standing at the foot of the staircase. The photograph did not emerge into the public domain until 1975, when George and Kathy Lutz and Rod Steiger appeared on The Merv Griffin Show to promote the release of the first film. 112 Ocean Avenue was also investigated by the parapsychologist Hans Holzer. The Warrens and Holzer have suggested that the house is occupied by malevolent spirits due to its history, and the Warrens' visit to the house is depicted in the 2016 film The Conjuring 2. So yes, Lavender was correct with that.
Take that, depression!
George Lutz registered... I'm sorry?
I was going to say, although I would like to shout out quickly as we, skirt by the Warrens. Patrick Wilson is the best horror scream king we've ever been blessed with. And people need to start giving him his flowers because I love him.
Mm-hmm.
End of thought.
So in May of so the local residents and authorities in Amityville, New York, are unhappy with the attention that the Amityville horror brings to the town and tend to decline requests to discuss it publicly. The website of the Amityville Historical Society makes absolutely no mention of the murders by Ronald DeFeo in 1974 or the period that the Lutz family lived at 112 Ocean Avenue. When the History Channel made its documentary about the Amityville horror in 2000, no member of the Historical Society would discuss the matter on camera. They made an episode of CSI New York, a Halloween-based episode on the Amityville horror, and basically it features a house in Amityville where a family has died in circumstances similar to the DeFeo murders. And in May of 2010, the house was placed on the market with an asking price of $1.15 million. In August of 2010, the house was sold to a local resident for $950,000. On August 21st, 2010, the departing owner held a moving sale at the house, and hundreds of people turned up for the event. They were allowed to go inside the house, but not to visit the upstairs rooms or the basement. And that is all about that, ladies and germs.
Oh, one more.
What?
Fucking Dutch colonials. Because
Dutch
Chucky
colonials.
Chucky made a reference to Amityville horror in the most recent season, which R.I.P. Chucky. But
yeah, I'm pissed about that.
because he needed the site of a horrible massacre for a ritual, and he's like, yeah, fuck it, we'll go to the Amityville horror house.
So if you guys,
they're the most evil houses out there.
if you guys actually
so
do
true.
want to see a credible documentary about the Amityville horror, there was a documentary titled My Amityville Horror, and it was released in March of 2013, and 2013, my apologies. It featured interviews with Daniel Lutz, one of the children who lived in the house during the period on which the book and films are based. Lutz echoes the original story as told by his mother and stepfather. He also makes additional claims that both he and George Lutz were possessed, and that George Lutz demonstrated telekinetic abilities, and strongly suggests that George's dabbling in the occult may have initiated the demonic events. So,
I'm trying to think, so they did do a Conjuring movie called The Devil Made Me Do It. And I'm trying to remember if it's technically based on the Amityville horror. It's like bopping around in my head.
We'll have to discuss it on
And
the
I
IG.
personally, exactly, I really enjoyed that movie. A lot of people didn't like it, but also I am like a slut for the Conjuring film franchise. They could release anything and I'll watch it. Like the only one I didn't enjoy was one of the Annabelle movies where they had her come to life during a sleepover, which was very out of tone for those movies. But yeah, they essentially based the idea off of that, I'm pretty sure, on the Amityville Horror House.
Perfect. On that note, like, we should probably start wrapping it up because we gave them so much information in one episode. What do you guys
We
think?
apologize.
No, we don't. No, we fucking don't.
I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry about this at all.
And guys, we barely scratched the surface for y'all too.
Fucking hit me with the phone, Dick!
It's true. It's true.
It's true, but that was a lot of info to take in. Because now we're going to ask them for a task.
Oh no. We're
So
actually
now
gonna
that you guys have heard a little bit of everything,
a little bit.
we are giving y'all a challenge.
Some
A
homework.
little choose your own adventure, if you will.
I used to love those type
Very
of books.
D&D of us. Very demure of us.
Ha! We are not
We
demure.
will
I am a
be-
goblin.
I am not demure. I'm a
True,
fucking dumpster fire.
but a
from now on. I'm
classy
not fucking
goblin.
demure.
A classy goblin you are.
Justice for Greta.
Justice for Greta. We love Greta. She's a gremlin when we love her.
Yes, we do. Justice for that gremlin.
But as we kind of
She's on
do a
HBO
little bit
Max.
of digging into everything for everyone, we're going to be putting up each one of the topics that we talked about on the cast's social media. So you guys will be able to vote what you want a deep dive into, which is why we gave you a little bit of everything in this episode.
Little bit. But
Yeah.
you guys need to
Fun.
tune into our socials, as we tell you every single time when you listen to one of our shows. You gotta follow us on the socials. You guys, it's Creepy Cryptid Month. Like, we did Big Apple Bookworms in September. Now it's Creepy Cryptid Month and Inktober. So if you have not been following us on our Instagram, at the very least, you're missing out. Just saying.
Yeah.
And
We got lots of good stuff.
me and Lavender will be at New York City Comic Con next week, so you can come up and say how
Yes,
much you
we
love our cast in
will.
person.
And I'm actually very excited because I am going to be now there on Saturday and Sunday, thanks to DigiNand.
He is
Did you, Nan?
great at finding things for you. It's sad that he won't.
disaster?
It's very sad that he will not be joining us at Comic Con.
Yeah,
But
he won't. But I appreciate him for seeing a possible disaster,
yep,
assessing that disaster,
that's right.
and making sure I'd still be able to make it on Saturday.
That is correct. But you guys, seriously, check us out. Go to the Instagram so you can vote in our poll. And we're going to come back by the end of the month for our special Halloween episode. And we will be talking about the winner of the poll. Like, whoever you guys vote for in that poll, who has the most votes, we're going to do an entire episode on. Whether it's one of the legends, one of the cryptids. You pick it, you vote for it, we're going to talk about it. End of story. Anybody got anything else
Your
to add?
way of being more involved. Otherwise, I think this is a really great overview. And if you guys vote and stay tuned to the socials, we will also be posting some fun, I guess you could call them fun spooky facts, some fun spooky facts about each one of the cryptids and or urban legends that
Yes.
you choose for the next episode.
And we'll be sharing and stuff on there anyway, as well as also our Inktober stuff, because there are so many things that we're still sharing with you guys from Hudson Valley, and it's so good. And Scarlett, closing thoughts.
You know, just again, like I said before, New York is fucking weird.
I love it.
Like, we just have so like again, like we've like I said before, we've barely scratched the surface on just all the weird, creepy shit that New York has to offer.
Yep.
And I mean, again, like I'm looking forward to whatever you guys decide we get to deep dive into and being able to tell you more about that. And yeah.
I love it for us.
Yeah.
Lavender?
Other than that, I think we're off to a really great start for October. I'm very excited to get to deep dive more into these things. Justice for Patrick Wilson, because he's our best modern Scream King. And thank you all for tuning in.
Guys, it's always been a pleasure. And on Some Real, check us out. Keep following us on those socials. Keep giving us your lovin's, and we'll keep making the content. See ya. Bye-bye. I love you.
Bye.
Adios.